one still isn't going through to the live stream, but that's okay because we're just going to use that.
Oh,
like they're both going through the house, but like
what it is if you go to there.
yeah, because that's the one there.
Go to the back, this one, and it should say SRC10. That's where it should be. That's how you know.
It's all good.
Yeah, I have to share this story with someone. Oh, I'm excited. No, you do, yeah. Oh, yeah. I just can't talk to you about it.
I don't think they're allowed to do that. Hi. So you'll need to, if you want to mute yourself, you have to mute yourself.
That's fine. I'm happy with that.
Because I can mute you here, but just not for online, so they'll still hear you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's good. So I don't. I'll just as though this is the only way to mute myself. Bless you. Do you need to check anything?
If you want to just quickly, we can.
Test, 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 test. Good. I'm gonna go. I'll be right back.
Put it back. They're watching this in Bathurst.
Are they really?
Yes. Exactly, right?
Well, I wasn't allowed to talk. Huh? I wasn't allowed to talk, so this is where I am. Oh my goodness, Ashley and Cora. Where
Okay, so this is our mic?
Yes.
This is the one? Okay, so I need to know though from Kevin who our runner is. Kevin. Simon. Do you see him? You see him anywhere?
Simon? I
Yeah.
have seen Simon, but he's hiding. But he is here.
I haven't heard from Jeff. I'm just assuming they're all good up there. I have it here, so. Sure, that'd be great. Water's great, yeah. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, yes. Wow. I would say that we'll be coming pretty close to having a quorum.
No, I know Amy. The servers. So it's her daughter.
Yes.
Yeah, no, but there's not her daughter. Katie. The KD. Over there. She was from Lydia, but
Yeah, because we will need some kind of confirmation that we do have a quorum, right?
okay.
Yes. Yes, and
Right, yeah,
I'm
she'll see
saying that
Lydia.
Tracy and I were both here, and I only put my name down.
She's really good communicator. So have you seen Tess?
Okay. Then that's probably why. Hello? Yeah, either way, I have the laptop open in front of me here so I can see it.
It would be nice if it wasn't, but
Yeah, so that works.
on
Yeah.
camera, I guess there's a.
sure you have their name and then question, and I have it in front of me so I can see. It'll just be a little delayed, just slightly delayed, just so you know. So, which is fine, because yeah.
What's that? Oh, is she? I knew she wasn't going to be able to be here, so.
Yeah.
She's all dressed up,
Yeah. Just tell me.
looking shiny. I like the fact that there's a device separating us, so at least she won't be able to poke me or stick me with stuff.
YouTube's easier because I just have it right in front of me here. Yep. Yes. I'll go remind him that. We're gonna be close, huh? How many people are in here? Not that many though.
No, not like.
We need 75. Do you think this is?
Well, good evening. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our first meeting in a long time. Welcome to the Point Church. As I look around, I think you all know I'm Kevin Matthews, the lead pastor, and I think I know all you too. So this is it's a family gathering, right? Tonight, and it really is in ways. I want to especially extend a welcome to our Miramichi site in a few moments. Bathurst is going to be joining us, and so when Bathurst is ready for us, I need one of you guys back in the sound room just to let me know that they are with us. But right now, I want to welcome you here this evening, and thank you so much for coming out during these unusual times, and certainly meeting in an unusual way. But God bless you. Thanks for your faithfulness in this way. Great to see you, and truly great to finally be able to gather again and actually have a meeting. So we're trying something different tonight. We're going to be simulcasting with Bathurst. And so Pastor Jeff McLean and Pastor Nate Bartlett are both in Bathurst. And they're doing a little welcome, hopefully, right now with the Bathurst folks. And then we'll all join together. I've got a few things that I'm going to share with everyone. And then we'll get into the official business with our fearless leader, our moderator, Bill McGinn. And, of course, our secretary, Karen White, is with us on the stage. She loves, the more attention I can give her, the more she loves it. So we put her right up on the stage this year to make sure that she got all the attention. Her husband Russell tells me that that's very important to her, that she likes all the attention. How we doing? Do we have Bathurst online with us here yet?
Yes, they are watching. I'm just waiting for a quorum number, but
oh, very
good
good. Yes. Yeah, I'm going to talk for a few minutes, so they've got a few minutes to count, and we've got a few minutes to count here too. I want to welcome our Bathurst site. So is Bathurst with us right now? Very good. We want to especially extend a welcome to our Bathurst site and our first official annual meeting where we're simulcasting, where we're in two locations at once. Our new constitution allows us for doing this in two places at once. What it doesn't quite allow us for yet is to do this in multiple locations from home and that kind of stuff, but we're going to try to address that a little later. But tonight I want to say a special welcome to those of you that are with us in Bathurst. Thank you so much for coming out. We'll get a count of each of you, and we're looking forward to hearing some input and some response from Bathurst, as well as all of our site here. I want to read to you just a quick verse of Scripture, very familiar verse, and then I have just a few things that I want to share with our Bathurst family and our Miramichi family here together. 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 9 reminds us that God is faithful. God is faithful, who has called you into fellowship with his Son, Jesus Christ our Lord. God is faithful. Let me just say, I stand here before you tonight, thankful to God, thankful to my wife who's here, thankful to our amazing staff team, and I'm thankful to a congregation who has proven themselves to be faithful. Faithful to God, you have been. Faithful to the cause, you have been. And faithful to our calling for this region and beyond. At our last business meeting back in February of 2019. And then over the last 15 or 16 months, we've all been through a lot. Yet, if we've watched the news at all, you know that we've also been spared a lot. God has been faithful. He really has been. And we need to be thankful for many, many things and thankful to God. As I think back over the last year, I can think of more than a few things to not be thankful for. But I can think of an awful lot to be thankful for. You've already seen the annual report long before tonight. We've been pushing that on you for a few months now, ever since February probably, and we'll certainly talk more about the annual report. But before we jump into the official business portion of the meeting, I want to share with you what I hope that you've taken note of in this last year. That while the rest of the world was explaining what they couldn't do, together we were dreaming about what we could do. And over the last year, even our annual report just barely touches on what we've been up to and what God has done through the ministries of this church, through this body of believers in Miramichi, in Bathurst, and well beyond now. Suffice it to say, you could have no idea whatsoever, as you sit here tonight, how many thousands and thousands of dollars in the last year have been given to the needy. You might be totally unaware of how many people have truly been encouraged in this last year. How many people who ran out of hope, who were given a full tank in this past year. And it only happened. These things, these ministries, these opportunities, these incredible things only happened because of your faithful support, your needed encouragement, and your ongoing engagement. It's because of you and people like you that we've been able to do what many people said couldn't be done because of COVID, because of this problem, because of that problem. While others were saying what couldn't be done, we were finding a way to do it. Not just the staff, but as a church, as a body of believers in Bathurst and here in Miramichi and again beyond. I know that for a few people, some would say they miss this part or they miss that, they wish for, they want, they think, they feel, they know, they don't like maybe the round tables, there's a few people, or they don't understand why you got to have food in church, or they're struggling these days with the atmosphere on Sundays maybe. And I know that others like it. In fact, some absolutely love it. They like it a lot. They've told me, and I've listened. But if I'm honest, I want you to know that there are things that I also like a lot about the new ways that we're doing things. And there are things I really, really, really don't like about the new ways we're doing things. But here's a good question for you. What's that got to do with anything? Well, what's that really got to do with anything? I've learned that if you want to shrink a church, divide a church, or kill a church, you just need to start focusing in more on what people like and what they don't like, what they want, what they don't want, their personal preferences. But honestly, our church has made this easy on me. See, even during a pandemic, you've been faithful. God's been faithful, and God's been faithful through you. See, our reach continues to grow. It's not just my COVID waste that is expanding, it's the church is expanding. The church is multiplying during a pandemic. It looks different. It really does. But as we look at YouTube and Facebook and in-person gatherings and the Tuesday night takeaway, I mean, the list is ridiculous of things we're now engaged with. Well, at a time like this, it's pretty exciting to see the church grow and expand. You might look around on a Sunday morning and say, what world is he living in? I know some things that you don't know. I see some things that you don't get to see. There is more email coming in than ever before. Fewer phone calls, but more email. That there's a ton of stuff doing, and there's stuff happening, and it's not just stuff we're doing, it's God moving. It's different, and some of it I don't like, and some of it I love. But my personal preference isn't what makes the difference. See, we have been, and we will continue to be all about what works. What helps us take another step in building people for the kingdom, seeing people take their next step toward reaching their full God-given potential. And because our message has stayed the same through a pandemic, while our methods have all been turned upside down, over this last year, we've got people who would have never stepped through our doors, who actually started attending online while our doors weren't even open. And some of those who started online now attend in person every single week, while some who used to attend every single week are now having to find themselves online only. What we spoke of as an emerging online congregation at our last meeting in February 2019 has now fully emerged. We've got people from far and wide who have accepted Jesus Christ as their Savior. Some have been at some of our in-person gatherings, and some because of our online gatherings. We've had people participate for the very first time in communion online, and some in person. In fact, we've also got a lineup of people who are awaiting an opportunity this summer to be baptized. And at least one person from out west who continues to worship with us online each week, never been here to my knowledge, but who hopes to travel here and be baptized as soon as possible with her church family. The world is changing. The world has changed. There's an online congregation emerging. No, it's emerged and it's with us. And we've got to learn to change and to deal with it and to receive people. We've got people giving to God through this church now who have never ever walked through our doors. And people who are walking through our doors once a week just to give. They're not back to in-service gatherings or in-person gatherings yet. They either never attended or just haven't been able to come back yet. And then there's the faithfulness of those who continue to be with us, present with us and in person every chance they get, who stand with us engaged, serving, encouraging, and financially giving, allowing us to continue to expand our reach. Now, I want you to understand something that I wouldn't talk about on a Sunday morning. I talk about this, we as a staff talk about this behind closed doors. We are fully aware and we recognize that no matter how much I cheer on the online congregation, we know that online is not the same as in person. And many of the people, not all of them, but many of the people who continue to meet online only don't even recognize what they are missing. Some of them never had it to compare with, right? And others are filling in some other gaps. But at least some, they've admitted to me, Frankly, they've grown too comfortable with an online experience. And they like attending church in their jammies a little too much. Others have decided that that's all they really need out of church. They're getting everything they need, forgetting that it's not about them, that they are needed. It's not just what we need out of church. It's also that we are needed in the church. In fact, when some who've not yet come back criticize that they miss this aspect or they miss that part, they forget that they're not the only ones not back yet. And so in the months ahead, we're going to work hard where possible, where appropriate, and with who it's truly safe to do so. We're going to work hard to build an expectation, to give an invitation, and to have one-on-one chats with people, encouraging them to get back to in-person gatherings again, either at one of our sites or at a Bible-believing church in their area. We know, according to Scripture, we know, according to experience, we know that we need to do life together, that we need to do community, that we need to be in connection with each other. And we also know that that can be supplemented here and there, but that's done best in face-to-face gatherings and in circles. We've got no intention to abandon our powerful online ministry, just the opposite. We want to see it continue to expand, but we also recognize that there is this need, this ongoing need to connect and to build connection. And now that it is safe to do so, a year ago we didn't know what we were facing. Today we know what we're facing, and with the protocols that we have in place, the vaccinations that we have available to us, and the faithfulness of God, we know that we can gather safely again. To make in-person gatherings more accessible for the most number of people, I'm happy to report that we're working hard to eliminate the need for reservations and reserving seats in advance. We see this as an extra step, as a barrier to getting people to attend. We see this as a barrier to our attendance, and so we believe that as COVID and provincial gathering restrictions are eased, that hopefully by the summer we should be able to offer in-person gatherings without the need for reservations. Now, there's people that really like the reservations too, just so you know. I get both sides, right? Some people really like their table and they like the fact that they can book it, keep it, it's theirs. You're going to start making me share my seat again? What's going on here? Unfortunately, we will have to wait until July for what I believe to be an improvement, but starting next Sunday, not this Sunday, but next Sunday, Grad Sunday, which is June the 13th, as we launch a new 3-week series called, this is a little commercial, Advice. There's going to be some week number 1, grad advice, week number 2, dad advice, and week number 3, bad advice. We're going to be learning to navigate the advice that'll make a lasting impression. I'm excited about this next series. And as we begin that next series, we're going to focus our Sunday services on the times that seem to be working best for both our congregation and teams of people serving those who are gathering. And so services here in Miramichi will only be at 9:30 and 11. We're going to shift from the evening to the 9:30 and 11, and at 11 o'clock only in Bathurst, shifting of our evening volunteers in Miramichi to the morning, allowing them to serve 1 hour and attend the other. They'll be able to better kind of flip-flop between services. And then we're working on some, that helps us out here in Miramichi. We're working on some creative scheduling solutions for Bathurst as well to see what we can do as the summer gets closer. But I suspect that we'll try to stick with these new service times that start on June 13th again. 9:30 and 11 here, 11 o'clock only in Bathurst. But I expect we'll try to stick with those over the summer months. Unless, of course, something changes. Could that ever be, right? We'll see. Maybe something will need to be changed. But if there's one thing that will stay the same around here, guaranteed, we're going to keep changing, right? Our message will never change, but our methods must always change. Not to our preferences. We know what that does. But change toward what's working, what's causing life change, what's building people. Now, just one more thing before I pray, I need your help with. I believe this is something worthy of the cause that needs your attention. I believe this is going to help not only our community, our faith community, but the crowd beyond our faith community. I believe the membership, and certainly the membership that would show up at an annual meeting, is somewhat our core. You're our core. And so we need you to be inviting people back to in-person gatherings. It's time for most people to come back. It's time for most people to come back. And some of those people, all of those people that aren't already coming back, need your invitation. If you meet people at the grocery store, if you see them at restaurants or out in the community, 3 things real quick. Let them know that church is back, that we're doing great. Sundays at 9:30 and 11, or 11 in Bathurst. Let them know we're back, that things are happening. You know, I'm talking to people still that are surprised that we're back, that we're gathering. That church has just disappeared from them altogether. And some of these people were people that were here every single week. Let them know we're back. And the second thing, invite them back. Let them know that it's as safe at church as it is wherever you see them. We're taking a lot of extra steps to make sure that these tablecloths are changed between every service, that they're washed, that we're sanitizing. We're doing all sorts of things. We're making sure we know who's coming in the building. We're squirting people with hand sanitizer. We're going through hand sanitizer like bubble gum at an 8-year-old's birthday party. I mean, it's incredible how much hand sanitizer we go through around here. And the third thing, so let them know we're back. Invite them back to even come with you. I'll meet you there. But the third thing is remind them God is faithful. And God's looking to do something incredible in you. Come on back. Experience this. And I think that as we invite, as we remind people, as we let them know that God is faithful, though we will also see the faithfulness of God as we have seen in this last 15, 16 months. Father God, we come before you. We sit before you in Bathurst, here in Miramichi. God, we come before you and we believe that you are thankful. Or we are thankful that you are faithful. That you have been faithful. God, there are many things that we're not all that excited about in this last year, but there are many, many things that we are thankful for. Thank you for sparing us the way you have. God, thank you for protecting us the way you have. God, thank you for prospering this church, this body of believers, the way you have. Thank you that we can come to you and that you are faithful. God, may you find us faithful. May you find us faithful. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Billy, I will have you call this party to order, and I'll sit down for a while and behave myself. Or try
Okay,
to.
so before we begin, I just want confirmation that we do have a quorum. Now, I see quite a few faces out here, but we do have to have confirmation of that. Jeff, and can I call you Jeff, or should I just call you Schwarzentroober? Schwartzy.
Swartzy works.
Okay,
Yeah, so we have 80, and so that is quorum.
perfect. Okay, so I was very concerned that we were just going to have a Thursday evening service, and I was going to have to dismiss everybody at this point, but so it's good. We're actually going to be able to hang out for a little while tonight. So I'd like to welcome everybody to our 2021 annual business meeting. I'm actually somewhat shocked that when I moderated the first meeting in February of 2020, is that when it was? 2019, wow, 2019, that we were going to be 18 months before we were actually able all to gather together again. So I do appreciate that everyone has been steadfastly supporting the Point Church through all those long months of this pandemic. So thank you very much for being here again tonight so many months later. So once again, I'll actually also say that I did not get dressed up for this event tonight. These are my work clothes. I was being harassed a little bit about what I was wearing tonight, so I'm not dressed up. Just like to say that. All right, so on that note, you have before you then, in that case, the agenda for our meeting tonight. If I could have someone move for the adoption of our agenda tonight. And when you actually are standing up and making that motion, I will get you to state your first and second name for Karen, because I know everybody here tonight, but she said she's a little bit iffy. So, on that note, could I have someone move for the adoption of our agenda tonight? Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Nathan. All right, any discussions on that or any concerns about our agenda tonight? Okay, there is one thing to add, and that is Kevin. Thank you very much. Yes, yeah. Okay, so everyone heard that, did they? So thank you. I'm not used to speaking for Kevin. So under new business, we have the 2021 proposed budget that will need to be added to the new business in the agenda. So if you'd like to make note of that, so we will be discussing that a little bit later on in our evening. Any further discussion? All right, are you ready for the question then? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Contrary minded? All right, thank you very much. We are moving along then, folks. Thank you very much. So
We do need to wait for Bathurst as well on that.
Yes, thank you, Schwartzy. I was told about that, and you'll probably have to keep reminding me. Thank you.
Just a sec, it's coming through. Yep, they're good.
Okay, thank you very much. So yes, Jeff, just keep reminding me if I do happen to move on without that. So in your program, and I'm going to call it a program, Karen, that you have before you, you should have our 2020 annual business minutes. I'll give everyone an opportunity to actually kind of scan down through that. We'll discuss that in a second. I'm going to just kind of highlight a couple of things. And I think one of the things that is incredibly noteworthy at that point in time was the following 24 candidates were presented and received into membership at that point in time. Our church is alive and it is well, and it's just amazing to see those types of numbers as we kind of reflect back on where we were at that point in time in our church's life. The capital projects, obviously that changed quite a bit during our shutdown. There was things that were happening in our church that we can all see, obviously now, including the lobby flooring and this new stage that we're in. We certainly had the capacity at that point in time to do some pretty big changes without having all the foot traffic at the building as well, too. So on that note, you've heard the minutes and highlights from the previous minutes. Any errors or omissions that anybody would like to note? Yes, Nathan.
Small correction, it's probably a minor detail, but I'll just state it for the record. Any of the motions I was involved in, either through voting or seconding, the L and the long is supposed to be capitalized, not lowercase. Thank you.
Nathan, I feel your pain. I have a capital G in my name. Yes, duly noted. Thank you, Nathan. We'll make those changes. Appreciate that.
Sorry, they're not able to hear that in Bathurst.
Thank you, Jeff. I would
So
have
just
forgotten.
repeat what Nathan had shared, and then I think what Pastor Kevin had shared as well.
On the agenda item.
Yes, what was added to the agenda?
Okay, not a problem at all. So added to the agenda, Bathurst, and I do apologize for that. Under new business, there is one more item that needs to be added, and that is the 2021 proposed budget. And Nathan DeLong just noted in the minutes the incorrect spelling of his name. It should have been a capital L in DeLong. Are they okay with that?
Yes, they said yes.
Okay, very good. And welcome to the COVID world that we're living in. So as we work through this, we may have a few little technical glitches, including my memory and needing to be prompted. So we ask for your patience when we're working through some of these. So at that point, could I have someone move for the adoption of our minutes? Thank you, Justin. And do we have a seconder? Thank you, Nathan. That's with a capital L. We'll make sure it's right for next meeting, Nathan. All right, so are we ready for the question? Question, yes. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Contrary minded?
Just waiting for Bathurst here.
Yes, we are.
It's about 10 seconds, so they must not like this one. All in favor?
All in favor. Very good. Motion carried. Thank you very much, everyone. Okay, next on our agenda is the receiving of any new members and voting instructions. And I am going to read this because I want to make sure that I cover everything. So, yes. Yes. Oh, most certainly, yes. That's what I was. I was looking for that earlier on, Brian. But certainly, yes, not a problem at all. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Good question. Thank you very much, Kevin.
And just repeat that question for Bathurst.
Yeah, the question is just regarding the status of the Chatham site. In the minutes from the 2019 meeting, it was decided that the navigation board would proceed with trying to figure out what exactly to do with the Chatham site. And I'll just give you a little update. It has been on the market for a while. There was really zero movement during COVID on that. And then in the last couple of months, there's actually been quite a bit of interest in the Chatham site. And so we don't have anything firm happening at this point, but it is on the market, and we have actually received some offers, and so there's some back and forth going on. There's nothing that we're really able to land on tonight, but there is some movement there, and so there is some interest, and some interest that we're quite happy with. I would say it's nothing that we're questioning or concerned over. There's some good possibilities out there.
Thank you, Kevin. That's okay, Brian? Perfect. Yes, Nathan?
Point of clarification as well, I don't know if it is been addressed, but the 2019 business meeting has been mentioned a few times, and just wanted to point out that we did have a business meeting February 2020. I know it goes without saying 2020 has been off the wash.
Oh.
I think we also really need one of these, but for the Baptist folks, and because I can only stretch my voice so far, I'll take it. It's on. Okay, you can hear me, obviously. Yeah, so just my clarification was that we did indeed have a business meeting in 2020 for.
We did. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
My pleasure. Thank you.
I think I just wrote off 2020 altogether. So, yeah, very good.
A reset would have been nice. I agree. Anything else? All right, very good. Thank you very much, then, everyone. Okay, so once again, just a point of order, I guess, so everyone is aware. So everyone is welcome, but you do need to be an official member to vote here tonight. Membership is different than attendance, but all who attend are certainly invited into membership. And one of the pastors would be very happy to review the membership process with you. But for our purposes here this evening, we will include the votes of the membership only. You can contact our pastors after the meeting or through a communication card at any time for information on membership. So we certainly encourage everyone to explore that with our pastors. So if you have any questions in regards to that, just direct them to our pastors. Very good. Did you want to add anything to that, Kevin? Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I do have my moments. All right. So next at this point in time, actually, I should add that there is several candidates for baptism, though, this summer. Yes, there is. All right. So there is, once again, as Kevin kind of spoke to earlier on, there is lots of interest in membership as well, too. Okay, at that point, we are going to review the annual report, and we will open that up for questions. Does everyone have, well, I don't know if everyone has a copy of the annual report or not, but it certainly, as Kevin had mentioned, was certainly available online. So if you have a chance, if you'd like to go through that at this point in time, I did have an opportunity to go through it myself. Certainly this should have been done back in February, but here we are at this point in time. I was certainly looked at Kevin's report with a great deal of interest. And over the year, one of the things he certainly highlighted was certainly the challenges, and being part of the NAV board, we were certainly very acutely aware of the challenges that were facing the staff and the church over that period of time, and how much they were able to adapt and change was just absolutely phenomenal. Pardon me? Oh, sorry. So once again, it's just been phenomenal. The evolution in staff and how they've changed and adapted their roles over this period of time, I think has amazed Kevin. It's amazed the NAV board. The adaptability of the people that are working in this building is absolutely phenomenal. So once again, that was touched on. The NAV board, all during this period of time, the NAV board has been meeting with Kevin, and he's been keeping us very much up to date as to what's been going on a very much a day-by-day basis. And I'd also like to note that Kevin's was by far the longest report in the annual report. Took forever to read, forever. But it was very well done, Kevin, very well done. Moving on to our associate pastor, who is in Bathurst tonight. And I've only seen certain points of this. I got to be right honest with you. The So-So Show, which apparently is very much a hit with a certain segment of the population, I wanted to really touch on. The stage redesign, and I think that was done in particular for Karen, because she does like to be up here, so it gives her an opportunity to utilize that, but Jeff certainly mentioned that. Our children's pastor, Nate Bartlett's report is certainly, and one of the things, once again, talk about adapting and moving forward with life in a pandemic was the Camp Kids Point during the winter season, and having those, a very vulnerable part of our population being involved and still engaged with church. Once again, the So-So Show, if you haven't had the opportunity to see it, you really should. And really, Nate has also been involved as the interim site pastor in Bathurst, so he's really double dipping. Kevin's really a slave driver as I'm going through this now. It's kind of amazing. Jeff Schwartzentruber, we've heard nothing about the amazing job that Jeff Schwartzentruber has been doing over this evolution of our online church. An 85% increase in YouTube views has been just absolutely mind-blowing. We now have over 1,000 subscribers to our YouTube channel. So that's something definitely worth noting. And certainly that's not just in Miramichi and New Brunswick. I mean, that's the Atlantic provinces, Canada, and really worldwide. I think there was one morning I was on, this lady from India actually popped up and said hi from somewheres in India. Jeff also mentioned TikTok, but really only certain people know what TikTok is. I'm not one of them, but apparently TikTok is a good thing, right? So it's good that TikTok is now part of the Point Church as well, too. Our youth director and media assistant, Isaac, we've seen the growth of Isaac over the past year as part of our NAV board and then moving on to a staff role. It's really neat to see how much he's growing. One of the things that Isaac actually shared with us in talking about expanding some of his ministry into St. John and Fredericton, he talked about how one youth came in contact with our church over this period of time. And that youth went from being, basically being forced into a youth group kind of thing to being a fully engaged member of that youth group and volunteering on Italian night, I think it was, Isaac, was it not, to help serve, right? So once again, just an amazing outreach that way. Kathy Parks, the communications director. The live streaming, I think the thing that really resonated in Kathy's report when she said God has us, had us where we needed to be when we needed to be. And I thought, wow, that's really speaks really a lot to what's, communication and where God actually has us each and every day. Sometimes we don't realize. Our missions, that happens, that seems like an eon ago, but once again, talking about things happening in God's own time. The fact that just before everything shut down, Simon was able to get his team down to the Dominican for one last ministry opportunity before everything shut down. God's timing is absolutely amazing. And the partnership that we've had with Servant's Heart, once again, God just works in so many amazing ways. The NAV board, my report, we certainly continue to meet throughout that period of time. Once again, for a lot of us, all of a sudden having to face the Skype. One thing I find incredibly disconcerting, and we've all been doing this for a long while, is actually looking at yourself on those Skype meetings can be incredibly disconcerting. I'm old, is basically where I kind of concluded. Sorry, Trace, I don't know if you realize that or not, but I certainly came up to that. So we continued to meet throughout that period of time, and once again, Kevin kept us engaged with what was going on. And once again, I certainly encourage everyone to reach out to your NAV board members if you have questions, if you have concerns, and that is really a good point of contact for you as well too. The envelope and memorial secretary, the teller's reports. We have did the teller's job. We have not had to do the envelope secretary. All I can say is God bless each and every one of you who are involved in those ministries, because it's incredibly time consuming, and it's a very, very important job within our church. So thank you for your support. Then we get into the stuff that Karen White is all about, the clerk's report, and doing all the number. If you're a numbers person, that's incredibly important. And I don't want to overstep here. So at this point in time, before we get into some of our other reports, is there any questions in regards to some of those early reports from our annual report?
This would be a good place for either Bathurst or here in Miramichi. If you have any questions for any of the ministry leaders, for any of the pastors, this was your kind of opportunity. Maybe there's something that they didn't report on in their report that you're wondering about. But it's kind of an opportunity for a bit of an open floor here to get on the floor anything that that you may want updated on or discussed. Again, you never have to wait for a meeting to do that. You can call, write, phone, fax, or visit at any time. Maybe don't fax. I don't know if we have a fax machine anymore. Oh, we do, yeah.
Okay, on that note, do I have a motion for the adoption of our annual report? The financial report will be discussed in a few minutes.
Move my name along.
Thank you, Nathan. Do I have a seconder? Terry Cook. Thank you, Terry. All right, any other further discussion or questions on our annual report, the portion that we reviewed? Are you ready for the question? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Waiting on Bathurst.
Motion passed there.
Thank you very
In
much, everyone.
Bathurst.
Okay, at this point, we have the presentation of the 2020 finance reports. And of somewhat mixed emotions because this will be the last presentation for Justin Summers of the financial reports. And yeah, it's been so long I can't remember anybody else doing it before you, Justin. And moving forward, we have a new chair for finance. But at this point in time, we are going to let the light shine on Justin.
All right. Normally, Margot would present the previous year's financials, but she's home. I believe she has children home, and so she's quarantining with them, and my children are home, so that's why I'm here. All right, so we'll go through the report. I know they have a few snippets to put up here, and I know everybody in this room has copies, but I'm not sure about Bathurst, but we'll go through it. So general offerings, we were down slightly from the year before, but surprisingly not as much as we had originally thought we were going to be. I know in February we had big goals and big dreams for giving, and the giving continued all through 2020. Despite not meeting in person, we were able to continue to improve our online and continue to offer services and continue to offer support to our community because of the giving of the church. So it was really good. I know there was weeks that we get the report every week of what came in, and one week you'd be like, uh-oh, this could be the turn, and then the next week things were back to normal again. So we were very lucky, and the people were very faithful in their giving here in 2020, so it was great. You'll see capital. I think I reported this is the highest I've ever seen our capital giving ever. And so we were able to do some renovations here. We did the stage over. We did the lobby over, and we were continuing to make improvements to the building, even though we weren't here, and it was probably a good time because we weren't here to live through renovations, which there's no fun. I've done that a few times too. Benevolent revenues, missions, memorial, that's kind of how the church gives back to our community and so and the rest of the world. So giving was strong there as well. So our total revenue came in just around $901,000. And just for comparison, I believe our projections were about just shy of 1 million. So in a year where we hardly met in person at all, really giving was down about 10% of what we expected. So very strong and very great for us. All right, next would be our salaries and benefits. We put salaries and benefits all on one line. So the NAB board does see who makes what. We have lots of discussion about that. We have lots of reports from Kevin and the rest of the team on who's doing what. Are they hitting their goals? Are they hitting their targets of what their goals are? And so we base their pay on, are they achieving what they're supposed to be achieving? And so it is a big part of our budget. It is about half of our budget. And the reason is we don't build anything but people here. We build relationships, we build community, and so half of our budget goes towards that. So I'm sure that makes sense to you guys here. You'll see next is the ministry specifics. So associate and youth pastor, Bathurst site pastor, putting on the programs comes to about $321,000 for 2020. So that is implementing the actual plans that these guys have. And girls, sorry. All right. The next page you'll see is our giving and who we give to. So we'll go down through a little bit. Benevolent Ministries local, so that's money we've given out to people in our community here. Canadian Baptist Missionaries would be $8,500 there as another big line item. The Dominican Republic Mission, that is the money that the church gives out of our general revenue. That is not the money that actually comes in for just the Dominican. That is the money that comes out of the church, that the church is given out of our general revenue towards that. And the CBAC United Missions is towards convention. That is a $44,000 line item as well, so just shy of $72,000 for 2020. It gets sticky up here, Kevin. You guys all dressed up tonight too, so I don't know. I must have missed the memo. All right, so interest and principal on mortgage. Our mortgage is held through convention, and the nice part with being held through convention is every year we do get a nice surprise. We never know when or how much, but often if the convention is doing well, they will give us a refund of part of our mortgage. And so total this year, our total mortgage expense cost us about $24,000. We did get the government loan. There was a forgivable government loan for $40,000, so that does show in here as a designated expense as well. That is how it has to be accounted for in 2020. So our net income, I told them I don't like to propose negative numbers, but $835 was okay for 2020, especially in a year when we were down 10% from what we expected. So we were still able to put on a lot of ministries and still came in just under break even. And so the reality is we do not run this organization to make money. We run it to build people up, and we want to spend the money that we get. So a slight deficit, but that is usually planned for. So, all right, any questions on the 2020 budget or numbers? Nathan?
Right. Yeah, like I said earlier, normally I don't need one of these, but
Sure.
for the online crowd, it might come in handy. So I'll start again. Under capital renewal, $53,685 as revenue. Just to make sure I heard you correctly, did you say that came from donations toward the capital fund?
That's correct. So that is people designating money to capital expenses. That is not building general repairs. That is major renovations. So the stage, the lobby, and I'll let you guys know as well, when we did the lobby over, we always look for 2 or 3 quotes. It is discussed amongst the navigation board, and originally I believe we were talking about tile, and I think it was about almost double that number for the lobby. So they came to us with a different solution. We felt that tile, we may end up in a similar situation we ended up with the last tile, that it started to lift and that kind of thing. And we did feel that this was a better solution because those carpet tiles can be replaced one at a time, and it's much more user-friendly solution for us longer term. So that is why we went that direction, and it did save us a significant amount of money. And Nathan, I understand your pain with spelling, because my father somehow spelled town wrong. So
Yeah, it's an easy mistake to make. I'll cut him some slack on that one. Is this the appropriate time to ask about proposed capital projects for 2021? I was just going to get you to give us a breakdown of those, Justin.
no, Simon will be giving you that breakdown once we go through the 2021 budget.
Okay, thank you. I'll hold that question till then. Thanks, Russell.
Get your notes ready, Simon. All right, any other questions on 2020? All right, do we motion those together? Okay.
Okay. All right, so at this point in time, could I have someone move for the adoption of the 2020 financial report? Thank you very much, Stephen. And Nathan DeLong. Any further discussion on that? And Schwartzy, you make sure if there's any questions from Bathurst, please
no
let me know.
questions from Bathurst right now.
Okay. Are we ready for the question? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All contrary minded, say nay. Waiting on Bathurst. I kind of like the suspense. I know. I'm sitting and wondering that. I don't know. Okay, we'll wait. We'll hope. We'll pray.
All in favor in Bathurst.
All right, very good. All right, so moving on will be the presentation of the 2021 proposed budget. All right, so once again to our finance chair for one last time.
All right, so like Billy said, this is my last budget proposal. But if my wife asked, I'm here every third Tuesday of the month. Falls right at bedtime. All right. So we are expecting a little bit of an increase in 2021. I'll be honest with you, when we did this budget up and we were talking about opening things up and getting back to in-person gatherings, we did this budget in January, February. We were hoping to have a meeting much sooner than this, and we are into June, so we're halfway through the year. But our original proposal was based on everything opening up in September. So when we started talking about getting back to normal and normal attendance and normal giving, we were expecting September. So we were a little bit ahead of that, but like I said before, giving did not drop off as much as during the pandemic as we thought. So with multiple ways to give, I know Kevin this week when he was talking about ways to give, he forgot the one that we normally do is in person. So we mentioned the other four. The fifth one is in person, but there is lots of ways to give. And when we switched to online giving and giving through an app and giving on the website, I know it was a concern when we first did it as the finance committee, and it was because it comes with expenses. Luckily, we did it 3 years ago, so people were prepared. So it was nice to be ahead of the game on that one. So Sunday offerings, this is our general money that comes in every week. We're expecting about $806,000. That's about $15,500 per Sunday. So that is the offering we need consistently coming in to run the programs and to run the staff that we have here at the Point Church. Initial offerings, that's when people sign up for envelopes or do their initial giving. A lot of the times people will give a little bit extra gift in the first, and so that is about $700. Special offerings was one of the places we were a little short in 2020 because Easter fell into a Sunday that we were normally would be one of our biggest special offerings. We did not gather in person for Easter last year, so we were a little off on special offerings last year, but we were expecting to go back to 2019 norms for 2021. Missions designated Dominican Republic. We definitely want the missions team to be able to go back to the Dominican in 2022, and so we will start collecting and hopefully fundraising for that in 2021 this year. Benevolent offerings is $6,000, and memorials, we do want to make sure that people know that at the end of their life, the church is always an option to give to. I know sometimes we think about other charities and other organizations, and there are people that want to give to the church, and so we do budget for that for about $2,500. So our total general revenue expectation for this year is about $948,000. So it's up about 5% from 2020, but a little bit less than 2019 when we were full norm. All right. So the next is wages. Like I said, when we were talking about 2020, the church doesn't build inventory. We don't have products to sell. We are about building up people and relationships. So a big portion of our budget goes towards that. And the $857,800 is everything. That's our contribution to WorkSafe, EI, CPP. You guys all know that stuff continues to go up. But that includes everything. So when the $457,800, that is every expense for staff that we have each year. This is for full-time staff, term staff, students. Everybody that works at the Point Church is included in that number. And it also includes our credits that we get back from the government for students that we hire and that kind of thing. So all of our numbers in our budget are net numbers. So if Jeff decides to sell something to buy something else, it's a net that goes into the budget, not the total revenue and total expense separated on these items, okay? You'll see on church-wide ministries, there's a pastor's name or a staff member's name at the top of each budget. If you have a question about what they're doing in associate pastor, you probably should ask Pastor Jeff because he's the one that submitted these numbers to us. Were things cut? Probably. But there was definitely things that we would encourage him to do. And so if giving continues, or if you say, hey, I would like to know more about adult ministry and events, and you wanted to give towards that, I'm sure if there's a particular event that you think they would like to have, we always encourage that, hey, if you want an event to happen, we can always give towards that as well. Children's ministry, that is Pastor Nate. If you've been downstairs, the kids are back. And so they're having a lot of fun, and hopefully even more fun as the restrictions go away. They'll have more fun downstairs. And I did put a note here that family pastor ministry expenses. Every pastor here has a ministry expense line. That is so if they go out and if they ask you to go out for coffee to discuss something, don't feel like you have to pay for their coffee because they do have an expense line for that. And we don't expect them to pay for it themselves necessarily either. So it is things that if they're in the course of doing ministry, they do have a budget to say, hey, you don't have to pay for my lunch, I can pay for my own. And maybe yours too. So if they call and invite you out, you might get a free meal out of it. We'll see. All right. Online and media pastor, that's Schwartzy at the back there. And his job has been really publicized in the last 18 months or so. And his budget seems to be a lot smaller than the rest. So Jeff, you might want to push that next year when I'm gone. Video equipment, the guys are continually trying to improve the experience as well. So equipment changes every day. What was a good camera 6 months ago is probably not a good camera anymore. And so the reality is they continue to try to improve that experience. But the good news is they've been very good at selling the stuff that they're not using to somebody else that could use it to be able to fund better equipment for the stuff that they really want. So great job to them, but clearly we know that online and media is important and will continue to be more important as the church grows outside of just the building, but into the online world as well. Bathurst site, this is the expenses for the office, and special events and promotion are specific to Bathurst there. All right. So youth, Isaac is in charge of the youth department. I remember hosting Kids Point with Isaac a few years ago, and he's definitely gone a long way from there. That also includes youth groups as well. I know they're trying to expand into Bathurst, into online. I know they said they mentioned earlier about people only attending youth ministry online. Billy, just so you know, TikTok is an app on your phone. And the best way to describe it is nobody knows what they're doing on there either. Lead pastor is Pastor Kevin. So care ministry is flowers, cards, that kind of stuff that the church likes to send out. Kevin is in charge of that stuff. He's responsible for the budget. Preaching and teaching resources you'll see there. R&R and seniors ministry, that, like I said, it's a self-sufficient ministry. It's a net number, so the money that comes in, the money that goes out. We expect it to maybe cost $250, but I don't remember it ever costing us any money really as a net. So thank you to the R&R and seniors crowd. You guys more than contribute to the share of what you take out. Worship and production, that's the equipment, screens, speakers. Like I said, it's continually improving the experience for everybody. So Miramichi is looking to do some upgrades this year. I know there were some lighting upgrades, and we're continuing to look to do some production upgrades at this site as well. So specific equipment and maintenance, I'm guessing Pastor Jeff Schwarzentruber is in charge of most of these items, but if you have a question about a particular item on that, let him know. Christmas events and production, we've traditionally had the Living Christmas Tree. We've switched to a Christmas production, and our hope was that by Christmas we will be back to being able to do that. So we did budget for it. It's looking good right now. As long as things continue to go in the right direction, we'll be there. Bank charges is pretty self-explanatory. Finance supplies, there's specific software we use to track giving, to send out. We have licenses on that kind of thing, and so that's in that finance supplies line. Computers and hardware, just on upgrades. I mean, every year we have to upgrade at least one computer, so that tends to be the norm. Computer software and subscriptions, everything you guys see on the screens, both online and up here, whether it's production quality, videos, that kind of stuff, that would go to some certain services there as well. Online and text giving, like I said earlier, we were concerned about online and text giving because it does come with an expense, and normally our giving came with an expense of envelopes. When you give online, the banks and the card companies and that kind of stuff find a way to take their fee. So that expense continues to grow, but online giving continues to grow as well. So it is another resource. Like most people, a lot of people do not carry any cash anymore. I just gave for my coffee and my water out of my phone. So the reality is I don't know of the last time I carried cash. So that is continuing to be the way the world heads, and so we need to make sure that we're able to, or people are able to give the way they're used to giving or spending their money. And telephone, internet at all sites, and professional fees. Really the major professional fees that we're budgeting for this year would be if something happens with our Chatham site, there will be lawyers and that kind of stuff involved. And then our accounting yearly review that they do for us would be in the professional fee section as well. All right. Convention expenses. I'm not sure what's going on with convention this year, but we always do expense for that. And I think like I said, we did this in February, so we weren't sure at the time. Coffee ministry. So we all enjoy the coffee ministry here. We all enjoy the snacks that are available on Sundays. That ministry actually makes money. We're able to contribute that money back to missions. So the NAB board, I believe last year, decided to, any money that we get from coffee ministry that's above our expenses will go back to the mission department. And the good news is Darwin's taking over as chair of the finance next year, and he seems to be able to make money in coffee, so we'll see what he can do with the rest. I only know how to sell cars. All right. Outreach ministry. That is how we go out into our community. The events we put on, the light tunnel that we did, anything that the church does to try and outreach to the community, that's where that $12,000 is. And I'll be honest with you, the navigation board continues to push Kevin and the team to look for more opportunities to get involved in our community. We think it's the best way to get people into our church is to go out and find them and meet them where they're at. So that's why we do feel that outreach is a big part of this. And like I said, this is net numbers as well. So there's sometimes as giving comes in that just goes straight towards outreach as well. And so these are net numbers. Mission support, you can go down through and see those. Canadian Baptist Missions is on there again. United Missions, CABC, and Convention. That money we continue to wrestle with that line item every year. Since I've been on the Finance Committee and then onto the Navigation Board, that's a discussion we always have is, do we give it to convention to give to other people, or do we try to find ways to give it directly to other organizations and other churches? I know there was a discussion when we took on the Bathurst site, is they were supported by convention a bit, and so I was like, okay, well, we are now able to help Bathurst directly. I know that was a discussion when Chatham came along as well, and so we're continuing to look for ways we can give to churches directly and help other ministries directly, not just through convention necessarily. So. Yeah, once we get through, Steve, we definitely will. Kevin, I know Kevin we've had some discussion with Kevin on the NAB board as well, so I'm sure he'll be able to share a little bit of where the convention and how that money works.
Could you just repeat the question for Bathurst, please?
Sure. So Steve's question was, where does the CBAC money go, or how do they use the money? And so I know, like I said, Kevin has had some discussion with them, and so he'll be able to share a little bit of where that works, or how that works. Operating and maintenance. Simon, you're almost up, so get your notes ready. This is just the general operation of the physical buildings of our church. Heat, light, janitorial supplies and services, lawn care, repairs and maintenance, just the general upkeep of using a building, 2 buildings of this size every week, all week, with multiple services, multiple people in and out of them, and like I said, if you've ever seen kids downstairs, they can destroy a lot of things. So,
Justin.
Yes.
Up here, we do have a question from Bathurst, if I can ask that.
Sure.
So we have from Pascaline Vanopoulos. She is asking, the online text giving of $5,200, is it a set fee, or the more we use, the more we pay?
It is the more we use, the more we pay. I believe when we started out, it was a set fee to a certain amount, but as giving goes up, that number continues to be a little bit of the more we use, the more we pay. But the more we use, the more we're getting. So it is a balance that we're trying to juggle. And just keep in mind, if you do direct giving, so not through our app or not through our website, but if you do direct deposit and set that up as a weekly gift through our direct deposit, that does not cost us any fees. It's more if you're using the website to give. That's when the fees come in.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that the cheapest way for the church and most individuals to give, cheaper than writing checks, cheaper than the more modern ways, is to set up pre-authorized giving. And so if you have any questions about getting involved with pre-authorized giving, you just write pre-authorized giving at any time on your communication card, and we'll get you the little form that you sign off on. But that is the cheapest way. Regarding Pascaline's question in Bathurst, I would just say it's a very small percentage of whatever you give. So, you know, if you're giving $100, it's a very small percentage of that. And so that's why as that fee increases, it doesn't scare us too much, because it means there's a direct proportion to the giving is increasing.
I'll just chime in for Margot's sake. She is saying also e-transfer is no cost to us as well.
Oh, that's right, too.
And
yeah.
The flat fee is 2.9%.
Awesome. Tell Margot she looked great on the screen too, Jeff. All right. Capital expenses. So capital projects, this is where Simon's going to come up and give some examples of things we'd like to do here in 2021. I'm not going to be the finance chair, but I will be here to make sure that we try to continue to stick with our theme of we're not going to spend it if it doesn't come in. There's projects we want to do in Bathurst, in Miramichi this year, and if the money does not come in, we've a few years ago, we've gone to a pretty strict stance that if the money doesn't come, we can't continue to do these projects. So if there's something you really want to see done for a capital project, and Simon comes calling for some money to help, definitely contribute to that, because that's the only way that these projects will get done. So Simon, why don't you come up and tell us a little bit about what the trustees are hoping to do for projects this year?
Thank you, Justin. So, as everybody knows, the upkeep of the church is one thing, but to go above and beyond, to make it a bit better, we've got to be always looking forward. some of the things that we'd like to do this year, Newcastle site, we'd like to consider the parking lot. The parking lot, as you can see, it's been in pretty rough shape over the years, and it hasn't gotten any better. So our goal is to try and pave the parking lot, pave one of the parking lots as a starting point. We'd also like to be considering a second parking lot that gets used often is down here just behind the office, and we'd like to be able to put a set of steps up from that parking lot to make it a bit more friendly for the people that do use that. The Bathurst site, a few projects on the go there. Our hope is a few projects. We'd like to put an upstairs washroom, accessible washroom for the people so they're not forced to go down to the basement. We'd like to also consider a new roof, simple project, a roof on the storage building they have outside, and we need to start looking at windows. We're looking at a couple specific windows at the Bathurst site, but we will in the future be looking for more. And even at the Chatham site currently, it's still ours. We need to maintain it, so we're considering a dehumidification system to take the moisture out of the basement at the Chatham site. So those are some of the projects that we're considering. Again, it takes money above and beyond running just the church, so that will be something that we'll be looking for funding for. So if you want to see upgrades and improvements to everything that you're dealing with, working around and walking around, then that's where the extra support will come in. Any questions on that?
Oh, thank you. Since this parking lot was used by...
Time?